They say the desert teaches patience, but Las Vegas never learned. I'm Indigo Vale, 22, granddaughter of a woman who left me a houseplant, a cracked recipe box, and a sealed letter with a cashier's check that could fund the rest of my life, if I didn't do something stupid with it. Don't gamble it, Grandma had written. Invest in yourself. I thought I understood what that meant. Under the casino's chandelier glare, the felt looked like a swimming pool I could learn to breathe under. Air-conditioned wind slid down my spine. Classic rock murmured in the ceiling like a distant storm. I told myself I wasn't gambling, I was multiplying. A quick flip. A way to kickstart the studio apartment, the coding boot camp, the life. The poker room was a halo of smoke ghosts and neon reflections. A velvet rope. An invitation I didn't deserve and took anyway. Seat 8 is Indigo, the floor manager announced, as if the table needed my color. I sank into the chair. The dealer smiled like a clock. Charming, precise, designed to make you forget time. His name tag read, Blaise, gold letters, sharp corners. He wore a steel blue vest that matched the chips he stacked with gentle, priestly hands. "Welcome, Miss Vale," he said, like he already knew me. The high-stakes table was a small universe. A retired linebacker with a wedding ring that didn't fit his finger. A lady in white sunglasses and a red lipstick that could cut glass. A tourist couple whispering in French. A tech bro who wouldn't stop tapping his phone. And a man with a face like an empty wallet. No expression, just need. I took out the cashier's check, slipped it to the cage, returned with bricks of chips that looked like responsibilities masquerading as candy. My heart didn't hammer, it clicked. We started. First hand, cautious. Second hand, a taste of luck. I floated on flops and turns, believing I could read the table. That intuition was a muscle I'd secretly trained. Blaise pitched the cards with the indifference of an angel. He burned one, slid two. His hands were beautiful lies. Clean, quick, devout. I won a pot I shouldn't have, then lost two I should have folded. The room breathed in and out around me. Dice clattered somewhere like hail on a tin roof. A cocktail server brushed past with a bell of laughter and gin. "New to this game?" Red Lipstick asked me, voice velvet and knives. "New to this table," I said. "Game's the same everywhere." She smiled like she'd been waiting to hear me say that. Blaise's eyes flicked to me and away, a movie extra hitting his mark. But when he squared the deck, I watched the bridge of his fingers. Once, twice, a break in rhythm so small it felt like a wink. "Action on you," he said. I called. Then I raised. Chips made that delicious porcelain kiss and my soul pretended it could afford it. The linebacker folded. The French couple bowed out together, synchronized like dancers. Tech Bro stared at Blaise's hands with the reverence of a programmer admiring clean code. Empty Wallet called. Red Lipstick raised. I should have folded. Pride is just fear wearing a leather jacket. I stayed. The board paired on the river and the pot became a moon pulling all my reason into tide. My two pair felt like a promise. Red Lipstick went all in. Empty Wallet sighed, counted, joined. I saw Blaise adjust his cuff, the glint of a cufflink shaped like a spade, notch missing, just a tiny bite in the metal. I called. Cards opened like small betrayals. Trips beat my two pair. A slow, polite murder. The table hummed. Blaise pushed the pot to Red Lipstick with the civility of a funeral director. "No shame," he said softly. "Good line. Good line." I heard the words like a diagnosis. I looked down at my stack, neat and smaller. Breathe. Hands kept coming. 20 minutes passed, then 30. I chased. The air tasted like mint and regret. The tourist couple left, broke or bored. New sharks took their seats. In the ceiling mirror, a girl with indigo black hair and stubbornness reflected back at me. She looked young and trying not to be. Then I saw it. Blaise's left ring finger, bare, tapped the felt in threes. Tap, tap, tap. Whenever Red Lipstick had a monster. A nervous tick? Or a signal? And when Empty Wallet bluffed, Blaise's thumb dragged once across the edge of the deck as if smoothing an invisible wrinkle. Tell yourself you're imagining it. Tell yourself the mind invents patterns to survive. I told myself to watch. Another hand. Blaise dealt, burned, turned. His wrists moved like a metronome set to a song I didn't know. Red lipstick smiled without teeth. Empty Wallet sniffed, eyes shiny with hunger. Tap, tap, tap. Then a long, slow slide of the thumb. I folded King's preflop for the first time in my life. Red lipstick revealed rockets and cleaned the table like it belonged to her. Empty Wallet groaned, then winked at Blaise as if sharing a joke. My stomach dropped through the floor. Break? I asked, standing too fast. Blaise's smile didn't crack. Of course, Miss Vale. In the restroom, I pressed my hands to the marble like it could stop the quake in my bones. The neon in the mirror framed me in pink instructions. Calm down. A stall door side open. Red lipstick emerged, sunglasses perched in her hair now, eyes cool blue. You're good, she said, washing her hands. But you're not watching the right person. I held her gaze. Who is the right person? Yourself. She dried her hands like it was a performance. Your face tells on you. Nice trick at the table, I said. Your friend's fingers have a lot to say. Something flickered in her expression. Surprise? Annoyance? Maybe respect? Then it smoothed. You should cash out. Vegas forgives nothing. I can't, I said. It's not just money. Then it's blood. She tossed the paper towel into the bin, missed, didn't pick it up. Blood is more expensive. When I returned, a new player had joined. A streamer with a backpack rig, camera like a third eye, chat scrolling on a tiny monitor strapped to his forearm. He asked the floor manager for permission to film his own face. No table, no cards. And got a nod. He grinned like the slot machines had learned to walk. I sat. The chair remembered me. The chips remembered my heat. Back so soon, Blaise purred. Shall we? I didn't answer. I watched his hands. 2 hands later, I saw the break again. A pinky curl. A breath held exactly on the turn when Empty Wallet needed a heart and got it. Tap, tap, tap for Red Lipstick's river value bet that felt like a love letter to inevitability. It wasn't just tells. It was choreography. Color up? The floor manager asked another table. Color me gone, Tech Bro muttered, racking chips, eyes sour. I thought of Grandma's letter. Invest in yourself. Maybe the investment wasn't chips. Maybe it was anger. I leaned back, letting the table think I'd gone passive, small. Inside, I carved my fear into shape. If Blaise was rigging, he wasn't doing it alone. A network. Signals, micro moves, maybe a second deck. Maybe a cold deck slipped in a cut I didn't see. Maybe an earpiece under that pretty hair. Water? Blaise asked. Sure, I said. With lemon. He nodded to a server. His cufflink flashed again. The spade. The tiny bite. The image stuck in my brain like a shard. I lost another pot on a river that felt scripted. The streamer whispering to his chat. This table's spicy. In a voice addicted to his own echo. My stack dwindled to a cliff edge. One more step, and it was a story you tell years later over grocery store wine. I had it all, and watched it be stolen while a man with sweet hands smiled. I reached for a chip and my sleeve brushed the table's padded edge. Something clicked against the underside, faint as a hiccup. I froze, slid my palm under the rail, felt a dot. No, a lens. A tiny cold circle embedded where a nervous player's hands would live. A camera, a mirror for tells, the kind of thing that could send signals to someone watching, someone like Blaise. Thunder rolled somewhere near the craps pit. Or maybe it was just my pulse. I swallowed. I caught the streamer's eye, pointed casually down as if scratching an itch. His gaze followed, curious, fox bright. He adjusted his camera. He grinned, then stifled it, like he wasn't supposed to care. Blaise? I said, keeping my voice sweet. What's your cufflink? He lifted his wrist, proud. Custom, lucky spade. Missing a bite, I said. Story of my life, he answered, making the table laugh. I smiled too, like I was still the girl who walked in here thinking I could breathe underwater. Deal me in, I said. He did. And I watched. And I learned. And I felt the map of their scheme begin to sketch itself across my skin, like a tattoo I hadn't consented to. Then the floor manager's radio crackled. The streamer's chat exploded on his forearm screen. Red Lipstick's eyes slid to mine. Empty wallet swallowed. Someone in a black suit tapped my shoulder. Miss Vale, the man said, soft as velvet rope. Could you come with us for a moment? I looked at Blaise. His smile didn't move, but his pupils did. A micro flinch toward the service corridor. I stood, palms warm, heart steady now. Because suddenly, the lesson felt clear. If they were going to take everything from me in plain sight, I was going to learn exactly how they did it. I followed the man in the black suit as the poker room's neon halo dimmed behind me, and I thought, this is either where I lose the rest or where I begin my education. At the corridor door, I slipped one chip into my pocket, the last blue one, cold as a promise, and stepped into the offstage dark. The door shut, voices waited. The corridor smelled like stale carpet and secrets. The man in the black suit walked 2 steps ahead, not speaking. His shoes whispered against the floor. My own heartbeat was louder than his footsteps. I tightened my grip on the single blue chip in my pocket, as if it were a compass. At the end of the hall, a door opened with a magnetic click. Inside, a small office glowed with too much fluorescent light. 2 chairs, 1 desk, a pot of coffee that smelled like burnt decisions. Sit, the man said, polite but firm. I sat. The chair sagged, worn by too many nervous players. Across from me, another figure appeared. A woman in her 40s, sharp suit, hair slicked back. She carried herself like someone who could fold people the way others fold laundry. Miss Vale, she said, as though testing the weight of my name. Do you know why you're here? I shook my head. Enlighten me. She slid a folder across the desk. Inside, my buy-in slip, copies of my ID, surveillance photos from the floor. Me at the table, me in the restroom, me standing too long near the streamer's rig. You're new to this room, she said, and you're watching too much. That makes people nervous. I leaned back. Isn't that the point of poker? To watch? Her eyes sharpened. Poker, yes, but the house has its own game. Do you understand? The words fell like dice, casual, but with weight. I swallowed. I understand you don't like questions. Correct, she said, then leaned closer. So let me ask one instead. What exactly did you see? I thought about Blaise tapping fingers, the cufflink, the camera under the rail. I thought about my grandmother's letter, invest in yourself, and realized this was the first real test of whether I could. Nothing, I said, just bad luck. The corner of her mouth twitched, not quite a smile. She studied me like a math problem. Finally, she tapped the folder once and said, You should go home. Can I? I asked. I'm not being detained? Not tonight, she said. The man in the black suit appeared again, ready to escort me out. But as I rose, I noticed something. On her desk, half hidden under the folder. A deck of cards with the same spade emblem as Blaise's cufflinks. And next to it, a small receiver with a blinking red light. My pulse sharpened. I forced my eyes away, as if it meant nothing. Thank you, I said as politely as I could manage. In the corridor again, the man led me toward the back exit. A door opened into the loading dock, where the air smelled like exhaust and desert dust. Good night, Miss Vale, he said, closing the door behind me. I stood there, alone. The strip glimmered in the distance, lights flashing like teeth. I should have felt broken, but instead, I felt awake. They thought I hadn't seen. They thought I'd walk away. But the image of that hidden receiver blinking red burned into me. The whole network was real. And if I wanted to survive, I had to learn to play their game, not as prey, but as predator. I pulled out my phone. My hands were still shaking, but my voice was steady when I called an old contact, Dylan. Dylan was a dropout magician, the kind who could make coins disappear in daylight. We hadn't spoken in years. When he picked up, his voice was still lazy, still amused. Indigo? Long time. You in trouble? Worse, I said. I'm in Vegas. He laughed. That is trouble. I need you to teach me, I said. Every trick you've got. Cards, sleight, misdirection, everything. Silence stretched. Then he asked, Who are you trying to beat? A dealer named Blaise, I said, and everyone protecting him. Another pause. Then, I'll book a flight. The line clicked dead. I slipped the blue chip from my pocket, rolling it across my knuckles the way I'd seen hustlers do. My hands were clumsy, but the chip stayed balanced. The night wind felt like a dare. This wasn't over. Not even close. Cliffhanger. As I pocketed the chip, a text vibrated my phone from an unknown number. Walk away, Indigo. Last warning. The text glowed on my screen. Walk away, Indigo. Last warning. I stared at it until the neon haze of the strip blurred. A threat should have scared me off. Instead, it felt like a dare. I deleted it. No reply. 2 days later, I sat in a quiet motel off Fremont Street, blinds half shut, carpet the color of nicotine. Across the table from me was Dylan, tan skin, lean frame, same mischievous grin I remembered from college. He was already shuffling cards like they were alive. You look like hell, he said. Thanks. You look like a bad decision I'm about to make twice. He smirked. So, Blaise, dealer, rigged table. And you want revenge? Not just revenge, I said. I want to beat him in public. Strip him of the one thing he hides behind, control. Dylan's grin thinned into something serious. He tapped the deck against the table. Then you'll need hands like ghosts. He dealt me 4 cards face down. Pick one without letting me see. I did. He smiled. Queen of Hearts. I flipped it over. He was right. I blinked. How? Control the frame, he interrupted. While you were looking at me, I glimpsed the edge. Angles. Reflections. You don't beat cheaters by being honest. You beat them by learning every dishonest thing they already know. That night became the beginning of my new life. We trained in 12-hour marathons. Dylan taught me false shuffles, bottom deals, second deals, ways to palm chips and return them unnoticed. He drilled me on watching micro gestures, twitches of lips, shoulder shrugs, the pulse in someone's neck when their hand was too strong. You can't just see tells, he said. You have to feel them. They live in the rhythm of a table. I practiced until my fingers cramped, until cards slipped slick with sweat. I failed. Again. Again. Then I got one right. Then 2. Slowly, the failures shrank. In the motel's cheap mirror, I barely recognized myself. Indigo with sharp eyes, restless hands, a predator waking under the surface. But training wasn't just tricks. Dylan made me play mock tables with locals he trusted. Con men, hustlers, washed-up magicians. They'd cheat me, bluff me, strip me of chips until I could finally spot the lie under their smiles. Every night I collapsed into bed exhausted, but my chest hummed with purpose. Yet shadows followed me. Twice I spotted the same black SUV parked outside. Once I swore I saw Blaise cufflink flash in a bar mirror, though when I turned, no one was there. One evening, Dylan tossed me a deck and said, "Last test." "What's that?" He smiled. "We're going to the casinos. Not Blaise's. Somewhere smaller. You'll sit, play clean, but use one trick. Just one. Subtle. If you walk out ahead without heat, you're ready." My pulse spiked. And if I don't? Then we go back to practice. That night, under the soft buzz of a downtown poker room, I slipped into a seat between a tired construction worker and a girl in rhinestones. Dylan lingered at the bar, watching. The dealer shuffled. I breathed. The rhythm I'd studied for days clicked into place. On the third hand, I palmed a card and replaced it mid-deal. Smooth, invisible. My heart thudded so loud I thought the table must hear it. The pot was mine. I waited. No floor manager, no black suit, just the faint smile of Dylan raising his glass at the bar. By the end of the night, I walked out with double my buy-in. I'd done it. But outside, in the neon dusk, a folded napkin waited on the hood of my rental car. In red marker, "Nice trick, we're watching." Cliffhanger. I froze, napkin in hand. Dylan leaned against the car, eyes narrowing. "Indigo, someone's already inside your training." The napkin shook in my hand, words bleeding in red like they'd been written with warning lights instead of ink. Dylan plucked it from me, scanned it once, then tore it cleanly in half. "Rule 1, he said. "Never let them see you rattled." "They already see me," I said. "They've been seeing me since Blaise's table." "That's good," Dylan answered, too calm. "Means you're in the game. If they're watching, you matter." I laughed hollow. "Great. I matter enough to get crushed." He leaned closer, his grin fading into something sharper. "Or to crush back. But you'll need more than card tricks. You'll need eyes, ears, and a stage." That night, we drew maps on motel notepads. Blaise Casino wasn't just cards and chips. It was a network. Dealers, floor managers, security, shills in the seats, signals hidden in plain sight. To beat him, we had to expose not just Blaise, but the machine around him. Dylan traced a circle around the words, "Live stream." "This is Vegas," he said. "They thrive on illusion, so we make the reveal public. One table, one night. Cameras rolling. No one can bury it." My pulse quickened. "And if they catch us before? Then they bury us," Dylan said flatly. "So don't get caught." The next day, I put on my old barista uniform and walked into Blaise Casino, not as a player, but as staff. Dylan had forged me a name tag and pass that would pass a glance, maybe not a microscope. The uniform scratched, the tray was heavy, but the disguise worked. I walked among dealers and tourists, invisible. I found Blaise at another high-stakes table. His vest gleamed, his cufflink flashed. His smile was as soft as velvet rope and just as choking. From behind a tray of martinis, I watched his hands, the tapping, the thumb drag, the subtle curls. Now I could see the choreography more clearly, like notes in a song I was learning. "Careful staring, sweetheart," a pit boss murmured behind me. His voice was oil over ice. I forced a laugh. "Just admiring the suits." He smirked and moved on. That night, back at the motel, I told Dylan everything. We marked the signals like scientists cataloging a new species. Tap for monster. Thumb drag for bluff. Pinky curl for cold deck incoming. "They're too confident," I whispered. "They think no one sees." "They'll see," Dylan promised. "But we need one more thing." "What?" "A partner inside," he said. "Someone who plays their side but hates them enough to flip." I frowned. "And where do we find that?" Dylan leaned back, tossing a chip into the air. "Sometimes they find you." 2 nights later, I found her. Or rather, she found me. I was walking through the staff corridor when red lipstick, sunglasses perched on her hair, smile sharp, stepped out of the shadows. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "And yet here you are," I answered. She studied me, then lowered her voice. "You were right about Blaise. The whole table's a stage. He makes the house rich, and they keep him untouchable. But untouchable doesn't mean unbreakable." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Her smile was thin, bitter. "Because he cut me out. I helped build this scheme. He thought I was disposable." The bitterness in her tone tasted like truth. I narrowed my eyes. "And now you want payback." "I want him humiliated," she said. "I want him drowning in his own tricks. You want that too, don't you?" I nodded slowly. "More than you know." She slipped me a slip of paper, a number, a time. Meet me tomorrow. Don't tell your magician friend. I stared at her. Why not? Because Blaise will expect him. He won't expect me. Her heels clicked away, leaving perfume and suspicion in her wake. Back at the motel, Dylan was waiting, cards fanned between his fingers. You're late, he said. Got delayed. I lied, slipping the paper deep into my pocket. I smiled, but inside, my thoughts tangled. Was red lipstick truly betrayed, or was this just another layer of the game? Either way, tomorrow I'd find out. Cliffhanger. The next day, at the meeting spot, I saw not just red lipstick, but Blaise himself, waiting in the shadows behind her. The alley smelled of cigarettes and wet asphalt, even though the desert sky hadn't seen rain in weeks. Red lipstick leaned casually against a wall, her sunglasses perched like a crown. But behind her, half-veiled in shadows, Blaise stood with his hands folded, cufflink flashing under the dim light. My chest tightened. This wasn't a meeting. This was a setup. Don't look so tense, red lipstick purred. I told you not to bring your magician. You listened. Good girl. Blaise stepped forward. His smile was slow, rehearsed. The same one that had buried my inheritance under his table. Indigo Vale, he said softly. You've been busy. I clenched my fists. You've been stealing. His laughter was gentle, almost kind. Stealing? No, facilitating. The house always wins. I just make sure of it. And ruin lives in the process, I spat. Red lipstick glanced between us. Her smirk held layers I couldn't read. Careful, darling. You sound emotional. Emotions don't play well with cards. I snapped. Why am I here? Blaise tilted his head. Because you're interesting. Most players lose and disappear. You lost, but you're still circling. Like a moth that doesn't realize the flame will kill it. Maybe I like fire. That made him smile wider. Then perhaps you'd enjoy a deal. He pulled a single card from his vest pocket, a spade ace, and balanced it on his finger. You want revenge? I'll give you a seat. One game. High stakes. You win, you walk away rich. You lose, you leave this city forever. It sounded simple, too simple. Red lipstick's eyes flickered just for a second, with something I almost mistook for warning. I asked, and what's in it for you? Blaise leaned closer. His cologne was cold, sharp. Entertainment. Nothing sweeter than watching someone think they have a chance. I wanted to spit in his face. Instead, I forced myself to meet his eyes. Fine. When? 3 nights from now, he said. Private room. Invitation only. You'll get yours. He slipped the ace into my pocket like a knife. Bring your best. With that, he turned, melting back into shadow. Red lipstick lingered. For a heartbeat, it was just the two of us again. You shouldn't take it, she murmured. You set me up, I hissed. Her lips curved. Or I gave you exactly what you wanted. I searched her face. Enemy? Ally? Double agent? She gave me nothing but perfume and mystery before vanishing into the neon night. Back at the motel, Dylan paced as I told him everything. His jaw clenched at Blaise's name, his hands restless with the deck of cards he never stopped shuffling. He wants to humiliate you, Dylan said. A setup guaranteed. That private game will be wired tighter than a drum. Cameras, signals, maybe even stacked decks. Then we go in prepared, I said. You're not ready, Dylan snapped. He's been doing this for years. He'll eat you alive. I stood, meeting his fury with my own. Then teach me faster, push me harder. I can't walk away. He exhaled, rubbing his temples. Indigo, this isn't just about your money anymore. It's about survival. I know. My voice trembled, but I didn't. That's why I can't back down. Finally, Dylan slammed the deck onto the table. Fine. Then we train until our hands bleed. The next 72 hours blurred into obsession. I learned deck switches, hand mucking, and the art of loading chips without notice. Dylan drilled me on controlling my face until my reflection in the motel mirror could hold steady under any storm. But he also taught me something deeper. Discipline. How to breathe slow, how to wait out silence, How to let someone else's arrogance bury them. Every night, exhaustion clawed at me, but I refused to sleep until Dylan forced me down. You're running on vengeance, he warned. That burns hot, but it burns out. You'll need ice in your veins when you face him. On the third night, as dawn lit the blinds, I practiced a one-handed shuffle until my fingers blistered. When the deck finally bent to me, clean, smooth, invisible, I felt a shift. I wasn't the moth anymore. I was learning to be the flame. But Vegas wasn't about to let me train in peace. As I walked back from the corner store that morning, a figure stepped out from a black SUV. Same suit, same sunglasses. Message from Blaise, he said. He tossed something at my feet. A chip. Blue. The same kind I'd kept from that first night. Only this one was carved down the middle, cracked like bone. When I bent to pick it up, the man leaned close. 3 nights, no more warnings. Then he slid back into the SUV, tires squealing into the sunrise. I clutched the broken chip, breath shaking. In 3 nights, it wouldn't just be a game, it would be war. Cliffhanger. Back in the motel, Dylan opened the door to find someone already waiting inside. Red Lipstick sitting on the bed, shuffling my deck of cards with a smile. Red Lipstick sat on the motel bed like a queen who'd misplaced her throne. She shuffled my deck one-handed, cards whispering. Dylan hovered by the door, jaw tight, a magician deciding whether to pull a rabbit or a knife. Nice place, she said, eyes on me, not the peeling wallpaper. Smells like panic and cheap coffee. Name, I said. She smiled. Mara Voss, but you already renamed me. She tapped her lipstick. Red works. Dylan crossed his arms. What do you want, Mara? To watch Blaise choke on his own smoke. She cut the deck, riffling it back together so perfectly I felt the air tremble. And I can help you do it. I kept my voice flat. You set me up in the alley. I set up the meeting you wanted, she said. A seat at his real table. That's the only way to kill a myth in this town, on the stage where it lives. Dylan didn't blink. And what do you want back? Money? Immunity? Humiliation, Mara said softly. Live and permanent. She slid a thin envelope to me. Inside, a sketch of a private room I'd never seen. Narrow, expensive, camera placements marked with little black stars, vents circled, a rectangle labeled Dealer Eyeline. Notes in neat block letters. RF receiver under rail. Shuffler model. Cardmaster VX. Pit rotation 22 Saku. 0030. 0200. I met her gaze. Why help us? Because Blaise cut me out after I built his bridges, she said. He likes pretty architecture until it's done. Then he bulldozes. Dylan's knuckles went white around the doorknob. We can get our own intel. Mara's smile tilted. Can you also get this? She set a small gray fob on the bedspread. It looked like a car remote. White noise RF jammer. 15-foot cone, 3-minute bursts. Enough to turn their whisper network into static right when you want Blaise deaf. Illegal, Dylan said. So is rigging a table, Mara said. Pick a sinner. I weighed the fob in my palm. Heavy, purpose-built. The button begged to be pressed. Before you decide, she added, turning to Dylan, maybe you should tell Indigo how you know Blaise. Silence clapped the room. I looked at Dylan. What is she talking about? His eyes stayed on Mara. Don't. She deserves context, Mara said sweetly. You taught Blaise the second deal when you did those club gigs in Reno. 2 summers. He bought you whiskey and you sold him technique. My chest went cold. Dylan didn't move. I didn't know he'd go pro with it. I didn't know he'd build a machine, Mara finished for him. Please, men always pretend their sparks aren't part of the fire. I let one breath in, counted, let it out. Did you teach him the tells too? I asked Dylan. No, he said, voice low. I taught him the hands. He made the network. I should have told you. A part of me wanted to walk. Another part, the desert hard part, filed it under fuel. We keep moving, I said. But from now on, we do it in the open. No more ancient history waiting to ambush me. Dylan nodded once, guilty anger fading into something steadier. Agreed. Good, Mara said businesslike. Then here's the play. She stood and, with a pen from the motel desk, turned the envelopes back into a battlefield. Plan A, she said, diagramming. You sit and play clean. We let Blaise cheat. We jam the RF for exactly one key hand, the one where he expects to get fed your hole cards from the rail camera. Without the whisper, he overplays. You let him hang himself. Meanwhile, I'm on the floor with a friend feeding a live stream. Not his table. Us. Our faces, our words, our evidence. Evidence? I asked. Mara's eyes glinted. She drew a tiny triangle under the rail. That rail lens you felt the first night? It's tied to a receiver on a discrete frequency. One of 3 he rotates. I have a scanner. We record the sweep, then kill it at the peak. Plan B? Dylan asked. If Plan A gets heat, she said, we pivot. We don't jam. We mirror. Indigo, you've been practicing controlling your surface tells. Good. Tonight you cultivate fake tells. Blink, breath, chip fidget. So precise their code. We let the rail capture them. We feed Blaise the wrong story on purpose. Give him mirrored weather, Dylan murmured, a magician admiring the trick. Sunny, where there's rain. Mara nodded. He'll steer into a storm he can't see. And Plan C? I asked. We burn the house down, she said simply. Not literally. We dump everything. Frequencies, footage, dealer rotations, into the streamer's feed you flirted with on night 1. He's big. He'll take the story if it's clean. The casino buries people. It can't bury an audience. I pictured the boy with the rig, the chat climbing his forearm like ivy. If truth had a chance in Vegas, it needed views. I set the fob on the envelope. Who's your friend on the floor? Mara's mouth curved. A cocktail server who hates overtime and men who touch her tray. She owes me. She's quiet as guilt. Dylan eyed the map. We still need proof tying Blaise to the receiver. Check his cufflink, Mara said. Spade missing a bite? It's a haptic. Tap patterns when the rail sends a strong read. Makes the table look like nervous fidgets. Elegant and dumb. I thought of that tiny bite gleaming like a jagged smile, a secret in plain sight. Tonight we rehearse, Dylan said. Small room, locals. Indigo runs the fake tells. I'll run RF scans. Mara, you handle comms. For the record, Mara said lightly, if I wanted to sell you, I'd have done it already. For the record, Dylan replied, if you try, you won't like what happens. She laughed, a bright knife of sound. I like you both when you're mean. We moved. We rented a windowless poker room behind a tiki bar where the only surveillance was a plastic parrot. Dylan unpacked gear, scanner, mic clips, a lipstick housing a pinhole lens. I filed my nails and painted a single invisible dot of clear polish on the corner of one chip. My anchor, my micromark to steady my hands when the fear tried to erase them. We ran drills. Blink means weak, Dylan said, timing with a metronome on his phone. On 3, reverse it. I blinked on strength. I held still on air. My chest learned to lie. Mara paced, phone glued to her ear. Yes, 2 minutes on. 3 off. No, not constant. Yes, charge it now. No, you can't put it in your bra. The metal underwire will shadow the cone. Beat. Fine. Put it in your tray. We played mock hands. On each river, Dylan clicked the scanner and called out a frequency. Mara hit the fob. The scanner squealed, then fell to snow. My tells clicked like metered poetry. By midnight, sweat glued my hair to my neck. My fingers hurt. My fear didn't. It had learned to sit down and wait its turn. We wrapped equipment in a nondescript tote. Dylan killed the metronome. The plastic parrot stared. Tomorrow, he said, handing me the deck. You sleep. Tomorrow I shake, I said. Then I stop. As we stepped into the alley behind the tiki bar, a black SUV idled at the curb like a punctuation mark. It rolled forward 1 car length, then stopped. The tinted window lowered 2 inches. A coin flipped out and hit the asphalt, spinning, spinning, settling at my shoe. Not a chip this time. A cufflink, spade, a shark bite notch. Mara swore under her breath. Dylan yanked me back into the doorframe. The SUV purred away, taillights winking like lies. I picked up the cufflink with a napkin. It vibrated in my palm. A tiny motor. A haptic device. His. He knows we're rehearsing, Dylan said. He wants us rattled, Mara said. I pocketed the cufflink. Rule 1, I said, echoing Dylan's first lesson. Never let them see you rattled. We split for the night. Mara to her somewhere prettier. Dylan and I to the motel. I showered sand and smoke off my skin. The letter from my grandmother sat on the nightstand, the edge soft from too much rereading. Invest in yourself, she had written. I slid under the covers and let exhaustion catch me by the ankles. I woke to the smell of warm plastic. The broken blue chip Blaise man had thrown sat on the motel bureau where I'd left it. Only now, faint, almost shy, a red dot pulsed in its crack. Dylan, I whispered. He was already up, already moving. He held a hand mirror under the chip and tilted it. A sliver of antenna glued into the seam. Microphone. Tracker. Both. That's how he knew, he said. I cupped the chip and felt heat like a heartbeat. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A calendar invite. Title, private room. O2, Sawa. The timestamp wrong-footed my breath. The game was supposed to be 2 nights from now. The body text read, plans change, be punctual. Below it, a line of text that shouldn't have been possible. Bring your friend and your new partner. We like 3-handed games. My skin went cold and hot at once. Indigo? Dylan asked. I showed them the screen. Mara's reply came through on my phone 3 seconds later. Short, clean, like a blade. They moved it up. Tonight. Cliffhanger. The motel AC clicked off, and in the sudden hush we heard it clearly. Footsteps in the hall outside our door, stopping. Then a soft knock. 3 even taps. Tap, tap, tap. 3 taps, even, calm, too calm. Dylan raised a finger to his lips. Mara froze, her eyes flicking to the door. The only sound in the room was the red blink of the bugged chip. Not housekeeping? Dylan whispered. I nodded, my pulse thumped in my ears. The knock came again, 3 measured taps. Whoever it was, they weren't leaving. Mara moved first, sliding to the side of the door, hand on the fob jammer in her pocket. Dylan crouched by the dresser, pulling a card from the deck like it could turn into a blade. I stood in the middle of the room, unarmed, trembling, but steady. Indigo Vale, a voice said through the door. Male, smooth, amused. Open up. We need to talk. Blaise. My throat tightened. Mara mouthed, don't. But Blaise's voice came again, softer now, like a lullaby. You're already invited. Why make me knock twice? Dylan shook his head, mouthing, trap. I inhaled, then shouted back. If you want me, come get me at the table. That's where I'll be. Silence. Then, faint laughter. It slid under the door like smoke. See you soon, Moth. Footsteps faded. Tires squealed outside. The 3 of us stayed frozen until quiet swallowed the motel again. Finally, Dylan sagged against the wall. He wanted to see if you'd break. I didn't, I said, though my knees trembled. Mara tucked the fob back in her pocket. Good, because tonight you don't get to break. We had less than 4 hours until 2 a.m. The motel turned into a war room. Dylan spread gear across the bed. Scanner, mic clips, dummy chips. Mara sketched seating positions from memory. I paced, replaying Blaise's voice in my head, turning fear into steel. Listen, Dylan said, snapping his fingers. 3 things you must remember. 1. Control your rhythm. Breathe slow. Play slow. Don't chase. 2. Use your fake tells exactly on count. Blink means strength. Chip fidget means weak. 3. Trust the jam only once. After that, the RF scanner will fry. We get one clean strike. Mara added, and one more thing. Blaise will try to distract you. He'll use charm, he'll use cruelty. Don't look at his face. Look at his hands. That's where the truth lives. I nodded, over and over, as though movement could etch it into my bones. At 1:30 we arrived at the casino. No crowds, no neon chatter. Just a side entrance, a guard with a clipboard, and the weight of silence. Name? The guard asked. Indigo Vale, I said, my voice even. He scanned the list, nodded, and waved us through. The private room was smaller than I expected. Red carpet, a single oval table, chandelier light pooling like liquid gold. Only 5 chairs, 1 dealer's seat, 4 players. Blaise was already there. Vest perfect. Smile sharper than the cards he shuffled lazily. The cufflink glinted. The spade with its shark bite notch. Indigo, he purred. And friends. How refreshing. Mara smirked. Didn't know you liked trios, Blaise. Everything's better in 3s, he said. His eyes flicked to Dylan. And you. The teacher returns. Dylan stiffened. I felt the history ripple between them like a cut reopened. The 4th chair was filled by a stranger, an older man in a gray suit, expressionless, a banker type, silent and heavy, eyes like wet cement. Buy-in, the dealer said, monotone. I slid the cashier's chips across. Not my inheritance anymore. That was gone. These were borrowed. Stolen hours, traded favors, and the last of Dylan's emergency roll. If I lost, it wouldn't just be money. It would be everything. Blaise laced his fingers. Shall we? The cards slid across the felt. First hand. My pulse raced. I forced it down. Breathe slow, play slow. I folded early, testing the rhythm. Blaise tapped his ring finger 3 times. Tap, tap, tap. While the banker called. Mara raised. Dylan folded. Blaise smirked. The board ran dry. Mara lost. The banker scooping the pot. Second hand. I caught Blaise's thumb drag across the deck. Subtle, like smoothing silk. A bluff. He raised. I mirrored a fidget with my chip stack. Our code for weakness. His cufflink twitched once, confirming the signal. He shoved all in. The banker folded. I called, heart pounding. My 2 pair beat his nothing. The pot slid my way. Blaise's smile didn't falter, but his eyes narrowed just enough to confirm. He knew something was off. Mara leaned in, whispering low. Perfect. Keep feeding him the mirror. By the 4th hand, sweat prickled my neck. Dylan's scanner hummed faintly in his pocket. Mara's hand brushed the fob like a lover. Then Blaise looked at me. Not my hands, not my stack. Me. You've been practicing, he said. His voice was silk wrapped around a knife. With Dylan's help, no less. You must feel clever. I held his gaze. Clever enough to sit across from you. He chuckled. Do you know what I love about moths? They think the flame loves them back. The cufflink glinted. Tap, tap, tap. And suddenly the banker shoved all in. Huge. Reckless. Too reckless. Dylan's eyes widened. He whispered. They fed him your whole cards. Mara hissed. Jam now. It's the signal. My thumb hovered over the fob. If I hit it, their comms would die. If I waited, I could spring the mirror later. 1 shot, 1 choice. Cliffhanger. I pressed the button. The scanner screamed static. Blaise's smile flickered. Just for a second, like a mask cracking. The scanner howled with static. The banker froze mid-breath. Blaise's cufflink twitched, then stilled. For the first time, his mask slipped. Not a smile, but a flash of pure calculation. I sat back, calm on the outside, storm inside. Call, I said. The dealer revealed the board. My full house crushed the banker's overpair. Chips slid to me, porcelain clinks echoing like gunfire in a church. Mara exhaled softly. Beautiful. But Blaise didn't flinch. He only adjusted his cufflink, smooth, deliberate. Then he leaned toward me. Clever girl, he murmured. One strike, that's all you'll get. The next few hands were tense ballet. Blaise played cautious, his signals muted. The banker folded more than he should have. Mara took small pots. Dylan watched the scanner, frown deepening. They've switched frequency, he whispered. We can't jam again. I nodded. We had spent our bullet. Now it was mirrors or nothing. Halfway through the session, Blaise raised big on the river. His cufflink tapped once. Barely there. The banker shoved over the top. Mara hissed. They're back online. He just fed your hole cards. I stared at the board, then at Blaise. His eyes glittered, confident. He thought he had me mapped. I let my fingers drum the table, our fake tell for weakness. His smile widened. I call, I said, voice steady. My flush snapped his 2-pair in half. The banker cursed, shoving his chair back. Blaise's smile faltered again. Mara grinned like a wolf. He's bleeding, but Blaise wasn't finished. He leaned in, voice velvet and venom. You think you're the first to try me? Little moths fly in every season. You won't last the night. He turned to Dylan. Tell her what I do to moths. Dylan's jaw tightened. You burn them, but not tonight. For once, Blaise laughed. Not mocking, but genuine, low, and dangerous. Oh, Dylan, you never learned. The house doesn't burn. The house burns others. He tapped his cufflink twice. The dealer paused, then reshuffled. A cold deck. Mara swore under her breath. He's stacking the deck right now. The next hand came heavy. My cards felt like strangers. Blaise raised, banker called. I peeked, trash. Nothing playable. But Mara's eyes locked on me. Play it. What? I whispered. Play it, she repeated. This is the hand they rigged. That means it's the hand we break. I swallowed hard, pushed chips forward. Call. Blaise arched a brow, amused. Brave. The flop hit. Useless to me. Blaise's fingers danced across the felt. Tap, tap, tap. Banker shoved instantly, exactly on cue. Now, Dylan whispered. Give them the mirror. I lifted a chip, twirled it, our fake tell for weakness. My heart thundered. Blaise's eyes gleamed. He shoved, mountain of chips collapsing like an avalanche. The dealer waited. All eyes turned to me. I looked down at my worthless hand. Then I looked back up. Steady. Call. Gasps rippled through the room. The dealer flipped cards. Blaise revealed a set. The banker, 2-pair. My hand. Nothing but air. Mara's smile curved. Check the board, boys. 4 cards to a straight. My nothing hand had become everything. A miracle river. The pot crashed into my stack. Blaise's cufflink pulsed, frantic. His mask shattered. Anger, sharp and naked. You cheated, he hissed. I leaned forward, every word ice. No, I learned from the best. Cliffhanger. Suddenly, the private room's door slammed open. 2 security guards stormed in, radios buzzing. One pointed at me. Step away from the table, Miss Vale, now. The 2 guards loomed like walls in suits. Radios hissed, batons at their hips. One repeated, sharp. Step away from the table, Miss Vale. I froze. The weight of every chip in front of me pressed like a spotlight. Blaise leaned back, lips curving. His smile said checkmate. Dylan rose halfway. She hasn't done anything. Sit down, one guard barked. Mara stayed cool, arms crossed. What's the charge? She asked. The guard's eyes flicked to Blaise. Blaise gave the faintest nod. Authority bent to him like cards in a shuffle. Suspected cheating, the guard said flatly. A hot spike of anger shot through me. Cheating? I hissed. You're calling me the cheat? Blaise's voice slid across the table. Smooth. Poison. Indigo, the house must protect itself. You understand. You were too bold. They had to notice. My chest burned. I wanted to scream. Instead, I let silence sharpen my edges. Mara rose, slow and deliberate. If you pull her now, the game is dead. The house wants entertainment. Nothing entertains like a fall at the right moment. The guards hesitated. Blaise's smile thinned. He studied Mara, then me. Finally, he lifted 2 fingers in dismissal. Let her finish. The guard stepped back to the door, arms folded. The message was clear. 1 move wrong, and you're gone. The next hand bled tension. My heart wanted to gallop, but Dylan caught my gaze, steady. His lips shaped the words. Ice. In. Veins. I inhaled, let the storm sit outside my skin. Cards slid. My whole cards. Jack. Queen suited. Decent. Dangerous. Blaise raised. The banker followed. Mara folded. My turn. I drummed the table. Our code for strength. Blaise cufflink tapped once in answer. He thought I was weak. Perfect. I called. The flop came. 10, king, ace. My chest jumped. I had the nut straight. I forced my face still. 1 blink. Our code for weakness. Blaise's smile widened. He bet heavy. Banker shoved again. Desperate fuel on the fire. I counted. Let my hand hover. Then pushed my whole stack in. All in. The room tightened like a drum. Blaise's eyes glittered. He couldn't resist. Call. The banker called too, chips clattering like bones. The turn, the river, harmless to me. My straight stood tall. The reveal was a storm. Banker's trips, Blaise full house, strong hands, but not enough. I laid down my straight, the nuts, clean as sunrise. Gasps, chips surged to me in a wave. For the first time, Blaise's composure cracked. His cufflink twitched frantic, a trapped pulse. You. His voice broke, then smoothed again. Luck. Nothing more. Funny, I said, stacking chips. That's what they always say before they fall. But the room wasn't mine yet. The banker slammed a fist on the felt. I don't play with cheaters. He glared at Blaise, not me. The accusation hung like smoke. Mara's smile sliced. Looks like someone's finally seeing where the strings are. Blaise's mask hardened. He turned to the dealer. We continue. But the dealer hesitated. Eyes flicked to the guards. For once, Blaise didn't get instant obedience. Dylan whispered, The cracks are showing. Push harder. I leaned forward, voice steady, loud enough for the room. If I'm the cheat, call the cameras. Review the tape. Or are you afraid the house will see your tricks, Blaise? The air went electric. For the first time, Blaise didn't answer right away. He shuffled, cards snapping sharp. Too sharp. His cufflink twitched, desperate. The next deal came, and as the cards slid, the overhead light flickered. Once, twice. A hum in the ceiling. Dylan's scanner buzzed hot in his pocket. They're pulling something new, he muttered. Mara's eyes narrowed. Not just signals. They're rewriting the feed. Whole room's about to turn into theater. Cliffhanger. The chandelier light died. For 3 seconds the room was pitch black. When it snapped back on, half the chips in front of me were gone. The chandelier snapped back to life, its gold glow dripping across the table. Half my stack was gone. Just gone. I blinked, checked the floor, checked my lap. Nothing. The dealer's face stayed blank, mechanical. Blaise leaned back, hands folded, eyes glittering like a cat who'd swallowed a bird. The house thanks you for your donation, he said smoothly. My chest burned. Where did it go? Technical error, the dealer droned. Game resumes. Mara slammed a hand on the felt. That's theft. One guard shifted, hand on his baton. Mara's voice cut like glass. Try it. See what happens. The room froze. Dylan leaned close to me, whispering, They're ghost chipping. Feeding your stack into the banker's count through the RFID. It's digital. Invisible. You can't fight it with your eyes. Then how do I fight it? I hissed. By making them choke on their own system. The next hand slid across. My whole cards, 7 clubs 2 diamonds. Trash. Blaise raised, banker called. Mara folded. I wanted to throw my hand away. Dylan shook his head sharply. Stay, watch. Flop came low cards. Blaise checked. Banker bet. Blaise tapped his cufflink. 2 taps. Smug. They're feeding him my garbage, I whispered. Exactly, Dylan murmured. So play it like gold. I swallowed fear and pushed chips forward. Call. The banker raised bigger, hunting me. Blaise watched, smiling faintly. On the river, board paired low. Nothing for me. The banker shoved all in. Call, I said loud. Gasps. The banker flipped over. Nothing. A bluff built on the false read. My 7-high won. The dealer, blank, pushed a mountain of chips my way. Mara laughed, sharp as knives. She just turned air into thunder. Blaise's eyes narrowed. His cufflink twitched, frantic. The banker slammed the table, cursing. Enough, Blaise said softly. This game bores me. He gestured to the dealer. A fresh deck appeared, crisp and suspiciously clean. Cold deck, again. Dylan whispered. They'll try to bury you fast. Every hand will be poison. Mara slid the fob under the rail. Then we mirror every signal until he drowns in his own lies. I nodded. The next deal, pocket eights. Respectable. Blaise raised big. Banker followed. I drummed the table, code for strength. Blaise's cufflink pulsed once. He shoved. I called. Flop. 8. Ace. King. I hit trips. My heart pounded. I blinked once. Code for weakness. Blaise leaned forward, eyes bright, and doubled his bet. I slow called. Turn. Another 8. Quads. I kept my face stone, fingers fidgeting, feeding him the mirror. The river fell harmless. Blaise shoved, mountain of chips. Banker folded instantly. The room held its breath. I revealed quads. The pot was enormous. My stack towered higher than ever. Blaise's mask shattered, eyes burning, lips tight. You don't belong at this table, he hissed. I leaned in, calm as ice. Neither do you. Cliffhanger. Blaise slammed his hand on the felt. The dealer froze. The guards reached for their radios. And then the door opened, revealing the casino floor manager from part 2, the woman with slick hair and a predator's smile. The door clicked shut behind her. The floor manager from that first night, the woman with slick black hair and a predator's smile, walked in like the room belonged to her. Evening, gentlemen, lady. Her voice dripped honey over steel. Blaise stood, instantly deferential. Ms. Keene. So, that was her name. Keene. She let her eyes linger on me. Sharp. Measuring. The house is concerned. This game has gotten messy. I forced my voice steady. Messy because your pet dealer rigs cards? Or because Blaise can't stand losing? A murmur rippled. One guard shifted uneasily. Dylan's fingers twitched near the scanner in his pocket. Keene smiled, cold and thin. Careful, Miss Vale. Accusations have consequences. Truth has them too, I shot back. Mara laughed under her breath. She's not wrong. Keene's eyes snapped to Mara. And you are? An old friend, Mara said, voice like champagne with razor blades. Keene ignored her, turned back to Blaise. The house won't tolerate disorder. Either end this quietly or prove her a cheat in front of us all. Blaise's mask returned. Gladly. The dealer produced another deck, factory sealed. Keene herself broke the plastic, cut the cards, handed them back. Now, she said, no excuses. The air felt like ice on my skin. This was it, the crucible. Blaise smiled at me. One hand, winner takes all. Dylan whispered, don't, it's suicide. But Mara leaned in, lips brushing my ear. Take it. The bigger the trap, the bigger the fall when you spring it. I inhaled slow. My grandmother's words echoed. Invest in yourself. I nodded. One hand. The dealer burned a card, slid 2 to each of us. Me, Blaise, the banker. Mara and Dylan stood back. Shadows now. I peeked. Ace of hearts. King of hearts. My pulse hammered. The best start I could ask for. The flop came. Queen of hearts. Jack of hearts. 3 of spades. My breath caught. I was 1 card from a royal flush. Blaise's cufflink twitched. His smile widened. He shoved a mountain of chips forward. All in. The banker hesitated, then called. All eyes on me. I blinked once. Our code for weakness. But my chest burned with fire. I pushed everything in. Call. The dealer burned 1 card, turn the river. 10 of hearts. Gasps exploded. I had it. Royal flush. The rarest hand in poker. But before I could speak, Blaise laughter filled the room. Not nervous. Not broken. Confident. He laid his cards down. Ace of spades. King of spades. The turn card, the one I'd barely registered, was the Queen of spades. His hand was also a royal flush. Split pot. Impossible. Statistically impossible unless— Mara's voice cut low, venomous. They planted it. A cold deck designed to crown him no matter what. Blaise leaned close, his breath sharp with cologne and cruelty. See? Even fate prefers me. The dealer began pulling chips back to split the pot. But Dylan's scanner screamed, lights flashing red. Wait, he shouted. Look at his cufflink. It's pulsing. Right now. He's still being fed. Keen's eyes narrowed. The room froze. Blaise's cufflink flickered, traitorous. Every pulse a confession. Cliffhanger. Mara yanked the fob from her pocket, slammed it onto the felt, and hit the button. Static filled the air. Blaise's cufflink died. The lights above flickered. Cameras on the ceiling sparked to life, and the hidden feed projecting Blaise's cheating scrolled across the giant screen outside on the casino floor. Static roared, sharp as lightning. Blaise's cufflink died. The chandelier lights flared, then dimmed. And then, the screens outside the private room came alive. I could hear it through the walls. Gasps, shouts, the rustle of 100 gamblers turning toward the feed. Every hidden signal, every twitch of Blaise's fingers, the whisper frequency, the false deals, the cold decks. It was all there, broadcast across the casino floor. Keen's smile faltered for the first time. What is this? Mara's grin was feral. The truth. And Vegas loves a good show. Blaise lurched forward, fury blazing. Kill the feed! But the dealer froze. The guards looked at each other, hesitation cracking their obedience. Dylan's voice rang sharp. You think you can bury it? It's live-streamed now. Every second is online. I rose from my chair, slow, deliberate. All those people out there, I said, pointing toward the floor, they've lost to you. They've watched their lives drain into your rigged table. Tonight they're watching you bleed it back. Blaise snarled. You think this makes you a hero? You're nothing. A moth who thinks the fire is hers. I stepped closer. My voice was steady ice. No, I'm the flame. On the floor outside, chants rose. Cheat, cheat, cheat. Security poured in. Not for me, but for Blaise. The guards at his back wavered. One even lowered his baton. Keen hissed at them. Stop this! But the spell had broken. The house wasn't united anymore. The weight of truth crushed the illusion. Blaise slammed a fist into the felt, chips scattered like shrapnel. This isn't over! I leaned down, close enough for him to smell my calm. For you, it is. Then chaos. The banker shoved his chair back, eyes wild. I want my money back, he bellowed, lunging at Blaise. Guards intercepted him, the table tipping, cards raining to the carpet. Mara laughed, sharp and wild, pulling me toward the door. Dylan grabbed the scanner, shoving it into his bag. Time to go, he said. We spilled into the casino floor. Crowds pressed in, eyes glued to the massive screens replaying Blaise's every cheat. Phones filmed, voices roared. The empire he built was dissolving in real time. But as we pushed through the chaos, I felt it. The weight of eyes on me. Not the crowd's, his. I turned. Blaise was still at the table, guards crowding him, Keen shouting in his ear. Yet his gaze cut through everything, locked on me like a blade. His smile had vanished, only rage remained. And he mouthed 2 words clear as day, not finished. Cliffhanger. Dylan tugged my arm, pulling me through the crush of bodies. But when we spilled into the alley behind the casino, a black SUV waited. Its door opened, and inside, Keen sat alone, her smile sharpened again. Get in, Indigo, we need to talk. The black SUV purred, its headlights casting hard lines against the alley walls. Keen sat inside, legs crossed, smile like a blade wrapped in silk. Get in, Indigo, she repeated, voice calm but edged. Dylan tensed beside me. Mara's hand brushed the fob in her pocket. I took one slow step closer. Why? So you can finish what Blaise started? Keen chuckled. Please. Blaise is finished. You killed him in front of his own kingdom. But Vegas doesn't care about corpses. It cares about power. That's why I'm here. She leaned forward, eyes glittering. I can give you a seat. Not just at one table. At every table. With me, you don't just win. You run the house. The words hung heavy, intoxicating. Dylan muttered, Poison. Don't drink it. Mara tilted her head. Or maybe it's leverage. I crossed my arms. And what do you get? Keen smiled wider. Loyalty. A partner who knows how to set a stage, who can control the flame instead of being consumed by it. I don't care about Blaise's tricks. I care about the spectacle. Together, we could own this city. Her voice dripped promises, security, wealth, power. But under it, I heard chains. I didn't come here to own Vegas, I said. I came here to burn down the liars. Keen's smile thinned. Then consider this. Sometimes, the only way to burn is from the throne. Mara leaned against the SUV door, amused. You're offering her Blaise's crown before it's cold. Keen's eyes flicked to Mara. And you? Still bitter because Blaise cut you out? Don't project your grudges onto my offer. Mara's grin sharpened. Grudges are all Vegas is built on. The air tightened, charged. Dylan stepped forward, voice steady. We don't need you. Indigo doesn't need you. Keen's gaze shifted to him, a predator studying prey. Ah, Dylan. You taught Blaise his first tricks. Funny, isn't it? Your little student nearly buried your new protege. Doesn't that sting? Dylan's jaw clenched, but he didn't look away. It stings. That's why I won't let it happen again. Keen's smile returned, cold as glass. Suit yourself. But the house doesn't stay empty for long. Someone will run it. If it isn't me with you, Indigo, it will be me against you. She leaned back, the door still open. Think carefully. Tonight, you lit a fire. But fires either spread or burn out. I turned away, pulse steady despite the storm in my chest. Then watch me spread. I walked from the SUV. Dylan followed, shoulders tight. Mara lingered, eyes still locked on Keen. Careful, darling, Mara said softly. You play with queens, you bleed. Then she shut the door with a click. The SUV pulled away, taillights cutting red into the dark. Back at the motel, exhaustion hit me like a wave, but sleep wouldn't come. Blaise's eyes haunted me, his mouthed words, not finished. And now Keen's proposition, her trap dressed as opportunity. Mara sprawled across the chair, sipping cheap whiskey from a plastic cup. Dylan sat at the desk, dismantling the scanner like it could answer questions. I stared at the blue chip, the one that had been bugged, now cracked open, gutted. A reminder. I whispered, It's not over. Dylan looked up. It won't be, until the house itself falls. Mara lifted her cup. Then let's make it collapse in style. Cliffhanger. A knock came at the door, sharp, frantic. Dylan grabbed the chain lock before opening. A bruised cocktail server stumbled in, the one Mara had mentioned before. Her voice shook. Blaise is gone. He slipped custody, and he's hunting you. The cocktail server collapsed into the chair, clutching her bruised arm. Her tray uniform was torn, mascara streaked from tears and sweat. Mara crouched beside her, voice surprisingly gentle. Tell us. The woman's breath hitched. They were taking Blaise out through service corridors. But he had people waiting. Men in black suits. They cut the lights, smashed radios. He just slipped away. And now, he keeps asking for you, Indigo. The room chilled. Dylan swore under his breath. He should have been locked in a holding room by now. Mara's smile was humorless. Blaise never plays straight, not even when caught. The server's eyes found mine, wide and frightened. He said, He's not finished until he takes everything back. And he'll start with you. The motel felt suddenly too small, too fragile. Dylan pulled the blinds shut, double-checked the locks. We need to move. Now. Where? I asked. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he spread the scanner parts across the table, hands moving fast, frantic. If Blaise is hunting, he's not doing it alone. He'll rebuild the network. Cameras, signals, plants. We need to find him before he resets the game. Mara leaned back, crossing her arms. Or we let him come. Turn the hunter into the hunted. Risky, Dylan snapped. Vegas runs on risk, Mara shot back. Their eyes locked, sparks flying. I cut between them. Enough. He wants me? Fine. But if he comes, he'll find I'm not running anymore. We moved through the city at midnight. Las Vegas neon still burned, but under it, the streets felt different. Colder, sharper, every shadow a threat. Mara led us down alleys, into service elevators, through staff corridors she knew too well. Dylan carried the scanner in pieces inside his bag. I carried nothing but the blue chip in my pocket. A broken relic turned talisman. At one point, Mara stopped us short. Ahead, a black SUV idled by the curb. The same type Blaise's men used. Trap, she whispered. We ducked into the service hall of a closed diner. My pulse hammered in my throat. Through the cracked door I saw them, 2 men in suits scanning the street, waiting. They're sweeping for you, Dylan murmured. I pressed my back against the wall. Then let them wait. I'm done playing their script. We regrouped in an abandoned rehearsal space above a shuttered nightclub. Dusty mirrors lined the walls. Old stage lights dangled like dead fruit. This is where we set the stage, Mara said. If Blaise wants a show, we give him one. Cameras of our own. His tricks mirrored back. Live again, but this time on our terms. Dylan frowned. You want to bait him here? Yes, Mara said simply. We let words slip. Blaise will come. He won't resist. His pride won't let him. And if he comes with an army? Dylan asked. Then we improvise, she answered, eyes glinting. I looked at my reflection in the dusty mirror. Tired, bruised, but unbroken. For the first time, I saw not just a moth chasing fire. I saw the flame staring back. We worked fast. Dylan wired scanners into the walls, tuning them to catch every rogue signal. Mara set up a hidden camera rig, patched into a local streamer's channel. By dawn, the stage was ready. And then, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Message. One last hand. Midnight. If you win, you live. If you lose, you burn. The location. The rehearsal space. He already knew. Cliffhanger. As the sun rose over Vegas, a shadow moved in the doorway of the rehearsal space. A voice I knew too well whispered from the dark. Hello, Indigo. The rehearsal space was dim. Morning dust still floating in shafts of light. From the doorway, Blaise stepped in. Jacket gone. Shirt sleeves rolled. Eyes wild but sharp. Hello, Indigo, he said, voice low and dangerous. Mara's hand moved toward her pocket, but Blaise raised a palm. Don't. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be bleeding. I came for the stage, for the last hand. He dropped a deck on the dusty table between us. One deal. Winner writes the story. Loser. Disappears. Dylan muttered, This is insane. He's cornered. But Blaise's stare never left me. Or maybe I'm free. The house crumbled. Keen wants your fire, not mine. But fire burns out without fuel. So let's see who burns first. I felt my chest tighten. All the pain, the loss, the fury. It had led to this. One hand. I nodded. Deal. Mara set the cameras rolling, broadcasting the dusty rehearsal room to the streamer's channel. Thousands of viewers poured in within minutes, their comments a storm. The table was small, shaky. Blaise shuffled slow, deliberate, the sound of cards like knives. He dealt, 2 to him, 2 to me. I peeked. Ace of spades. 10 of spades. Strong, but not invincible. Blaise's eyes glinted like he knew something. Flop came, king, queen, jack, all spades. My breath caught. A royal flush again. Impossible. Too impossible. I looked up. Blaise was smiling, but faintly, almost broken. He shoved his stack forward. All in. I didn't hesitate. Call. The turn. Blank. The river. Blank. My royal stood, untouched. I laid my cards down. Gasps roared online, the feed exploding. Blaise stared. His hand shook as he flipped his cards. 2 red tens. Nothing. The smile left him. For the first time, he looked empty. You, his voice cracked. You stole my fire. No, I whispered. I lit my own. He pushed back from the table, laughter rising, bitter, hollow. Vegas will eat you alive, Indigo. Today you beat me. Tomorrow, Keen. Then someone else. The game never ends. He walked toward the door, shadows swallowing him. Mara moved as if to stop him, but I raised a hand. Let him go. Dylan frowned. He'll come back. Maybe, I said softly. But maybe that's the point. Revenge doesn't finish a story. It just turns the page. Outside, sirens wailed faint in the distance. The stream comments flashed with fire emojis, crowns, chants of my name. I stood in the glow of the ruined room, heart pounding but steady. I'd won. And yet, it felt less like an ending, more like the start of another game. Open ending. As I pocketed the blue chip, the broken, bugged relic that had carried me this far, my phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number. Nice hand. Let's see how you play when the stakes are bigger. K. Keen. I stared at the screen, my reflection fractured in the cracked glass. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning.